Let me quickly check if I'm live just in case. Yeah, I can see I'm live. I'm just muting my phone. In case someone send me a chat or something, I can read it here. Okay, let me quickly open this one. Hi guys, welcome to the second live video, which is all about even I forget this one, but it's all about the roadmap that we need to learn. So what we're gonna do? So I have already posted here. Let's quickly delve down it. So today, since it's a live view, is all about the um, SQL roadmap. So in this particular live session, we're gonna divide it into two sections. First one is completely about the recap that we had from yesterday, and second one we're gonna talk about the roadmap, what we gonna follow day-to-day basis, so that it's become easier for us to understand before coming into the live session that what we are gonna learn or what we're gonna research and learn about. Okay. So before we go to the recap, let me quickly open my OneNote. Perfect. So I will open new tab as for the two, and it's all about your SQL roadmap. So before even we go into this one, let me quickly start with the recap. Perfect. Yeah. So in the recap that we have done for day 001 is all about just an introduction about. Let me enlarge this one. Introduction about uh, introduction to SQL. Perfect. So we were trying to answer three major question in the live session for day one. That is a bit history about your SQL. Then what is SQL? Third, how is it important, right? That we were discussing and we learned something new about this one. And something for that we talk in a very brief manner was the roadmap that we are gonna discuss more in detail today. More in detail today. Perfect. So since the recap, I will brief about the history. So the SQL came into first existence into 1970 that we learned, and during that time it was called structured uh, English query language. So as for sorry guys, structured E for English, this one QUE for query, and L for language. Perfect. So initially when it was invented in 1970, it was named as SQL. So nowadays, if you heard someone say like we need to write a SQL code or something, you understand they are just talking about SQL. And why this transition from SQL to SQL? That's very interesting. So IBM who want to initially trademark the SQL SE they found out they some company has already trademarked this one, so they cannot use it for commercial use. Okay, so to leverage this one to make it best out of this one, they thought like why don't we just shorten this name to SQL and that become a structured query language and become really useful because every name in this one represent particular specific characteristic of a SQL programming language or SQL programming language. Okay. So if somebody asks you why there's two pronunciation for SQL and SQL, so you know the answer, right? Now let's dive into SQL. So first one is structured. Okay. So in the present scenario, there's a lot of data that is available in our surrounding that we learn, right? For example, data means information. So information in a digital form. So remember, as a programmer, as a computer student, we deal with computer data. Computer data. Okay. So when I talk about data, it means computer data or more specifically digital data. Okay. So it can be form of text that you store in a notebook, that you store in a draft of email, anywhere. Okay. Then second is video. Okay. Problem with these two type of data set is very random. We can't find any pattern. No pattern, right? So I can write like A B, then Nitin go to X, and then I start writing paragraph about myself. But problem is like you cannot find a pattern so that you can store that in a particular or in a organized manner, right? There is another type of data that we gonna learn might be in the future, but not right now. It's called uh, this particular data set was called unstructured. Okay, this data set is this is called unstructured. Unstructured because this does not have any pattern. Second one is called semi-structured. Okay, this is coming from my knowledge, so I'm just giving a brief, not much. It have both. It have pattern, the data or information follow, and then within that pattern, there will be certain information that is unstructured. It can be text, it can be video, it can be anything. Okay, so it's semi-structured. Then third come structured data. So structured data is very, very useful. It does not contribute the whole percentage of the data available in the market or in the world, but they does represent a significance. Let's suppose like 10 to 20% of the whole world data is a structured data. Let's suppose, okay. Even if it is 10 or 20%, is a huge amount of percentage when we talk about the world data, right? So the best part of a structured data is they are so structured. Then we can create a pattern, and using that pattern we can create a programming that help us to process the data much faster, much efficiently. So structured data is very useful, or we can use the structured data for efficiently for storing and processing. Okay, and in this structured data there is one specific type of structured data, that is tabular data. So in a world, if some data can be represented in tabular form, that is row and column, where row represent entity, column represent attribute or is characteristic, this is called tabular data. Remember. And when you I'm sorry, they call at this time every day. And when you combine similar object or entities with the same characteristic in this tabular form, okay, it's called table. So when we were in 1970, people realized that they have this data they were writing on paper. So first storage came for this type of data was paper. But do you think what can be the biggest drawback of this one? The biggest drawback of this one is when we need to distribute the same information to multiple department or multiple people, we need to write it manually. That's first thing. Second, if you suppose I gave this paper to 5 or 10 people, okay? Suppose I give, like I give one robot, give one to Nile, I give one to. Sorry, I don't know why this happened. Let me have a sip of water. Okay, so I give five same information into five different paper, like paper one, paper two, paper three, paper four, and paper five. I gave it to five different people at once. Now all of a sudden on Day two, somebody came and asked me that, oh my God, I wrote one name incorrectly. Can you go and refine it? So I need to go manually to every place and do it again. So that's a hassle. Storing, if the list become very big, like you have to write the information about 10,000 people, how are you gonna write in five different set? And in future, if it increase, that means redundancy increase, the manual work increase. So paper was not a good storage for this one. Then people came it. Now since we are computer, what people computer student, what we decided, we need to create some program that leverage us in terms of storage of this kind of a data, Tableau data, and it give us more ability to access the information, to process the information, and to get the insights. See, ultimately, what happened? Why you store the information? You store the information so that it's become firstly easily accessible. Second, in case you want to get some insight, that's why you create different method to make it much more accessible. Let me give very beautiful example. Suppose, let's start with the paper. Okay, suppose what happened, you are a teacher of a class and you have like 100 student, okay, manageable on a paper. How you gonna write their name so it become easy to access? So the best is to store the name in an alphabetical order, right? A, then B, then C, and D. So what gonna happen is someday a student comes and say, hey teacher, my name is Henry, and I need to know about if my details are right. So you just take out the register, you check out H directly into the H category, and yeah, you find the name. So it, the way you store the data, it become easy to operate the search operation, right? Similarly, if we are able to create a structure that help us to store this tabular form in such a way that few operations become easier as per our need, why not? Right? And that's why Excel came into picture. People saw that one nowadays a lot of people are using a tabular form of data and they felt like why don't we create some software that store this data and provide us more of easily applicable operation like sum or or average or division or multiplication that people's time can reduce, right? And you can create multiple copies based on a master copy and distribute to multiple people. But the biggest drawback was as we progress with the time, the insight we needed become much more specific and complex. And this is something Excel was not able to handle. Second, after a certain amount or number of rows or number of elements in a sheet, when it started exceeding 1 million something, and you started applying a query or complex formula, it has started delaying and sometimes it is stopped the mechanism of the working of the Excel abruptly. So you see how we move from paper to Excel. Now we need something much more sophisticated that can easily provide all the functionality that paper and Excel was providing. Plus, it also gave me much more advanced operation that these two were not able to perform. First one was a storage. Second one is apply easy operation to get inside. And third one is apply complex instruction or operation that is hard to do in paper or Excel. And that's where people invented concept of database plus SQL. And these are conceptual level, help us to develop software called relational database management system. Interesting, right? So what is concept and what is software? So concept is like when you have an idea that This is how I gonna do. It's a like a mental roadmap. Concept is like a mental roadmap. Roadmap or idea. As a scribble idea, this is how I'm going to do. Okay. So idea behind was like I'm going to create a software that will much more powerful than your Excel and is gonna store the tabular form of data in a space that I will call database. So database, what is database? Database is nothing but collection of your tables in a single space. Okay. And then I will create one such way or a method that a user able to communicate with the table in a much more efficient manner. In that particular manner, this mechanism become SQL. Okay, so database help you to store tabular form of data, whereas SQL help you communicate with database or the table store inside this database. Correct? And we are able to implement this idea using a software that is called relational database management system. You got it so far? I think we are much clear on this one. Okay, so now how much we answer so far? We learn about the bit history about SQL, what is SQL. We also learn about how is important paper to Excel, Excel to database, right? We learn all this one. With this, I think a recap is done. Let me check if somebody joined and they want to ask a question in case, because that's the second. I am pretty sure nobody joined, but it's fun, dude. It's fun. Like, why not? Mm, nobody. So, yeah, I think me as an individual, I'm really clear about this one. And I'm really happy. Like, so to be very frank, let me tell you one my own personal experience here before we move. Because we have a lot of time, right? Let me check the time as well. 22. Yeah. Half an hour will be enough to discuss about the roadmap. Let me quickly have another sip of water, please. Okay. So when I was working in IT, I realized that despite the fact that I know how the thing's gonna work and what is that concept I need to use, if not, I can search it in the Google or some other places like. But one thing that was missing out is to understand the core concepts. And there was a time I get confused between, dude, that was one hilarious time. And it took a lot of time, like a huge amount of time to understand the difference between database, mm, relational database management system, relational database management system versus your schema versus your table. Despite the fact at time people use this to relatively in one another places, but they are not the same thing, just for conceptual. And I got confused with these three things. And then on top of them, this one. So this time that you feel like most of the people who might join, who might see this in the future, they will be like, oh my God, this is so easy. But trust me, guys, not for everyone is easy because we as a professional, so when you learn as a professional, okay, you started your career with some technology support A. But after 2 or 3 years, this technology will become absolute. That's the nature of the IT. You need to keep on upgrading yourself. Then you started learning new things same way. But the problem here is like you are working and your numerous hours already tied with your work. It means you are able to give only few hours in a day. And trust me, that's giving a few hours in a professional lifestyle is really tough. I know because there's a lot of calls, there's a lot of development, there's a lot of panels, there's a lot of meeting, there's a lot of like follow-ups. So it become really hard. And then you have your family in case you are not bachelor. And in case you are bachelor, trust me, you have to go out with your friends or at least have some food, right? During this time, what happened? You learn what you see, and sometimes you miss few words in the definition here and there, and you misguide yourself in that learning, and you learn something else. Now, if you're following someone on YouTube channel and he does the same, like based on maybe he's right, but based on his understanding, you're not able to comprehend 100% what exactly you want to communicate, and you learn suppose 80%. Plus 20% of gap is still there that will create chaos. So this seems so simple, but the same thing will happen. I grasp 80% of something I learned, but 20% I might miss because of my negligence. I miss because I was not able to comprehend properly. Whatever was the reason, ultimately what happened? I missed it, right? The same case might happen with you guys. The chances that that 20% will make you skip few things that's very simple, but it will lead up greater chaos in the future. Okay, so yeah, that was the story. So now that I'm learning with you guys after 2.5 years, dude, I love the difference between SQL SQL versus SQL. Dude, I was not aware of this. So this is interesting first thing. Second thing, I learned about structure query language. Okay. Yeah, so let's quickly get back to that one as well. Something I'm learning it. Okay. So last and final is, so we are clear with the structure. So whatever the tabular data we have in the world, we can use relational database management system to store and operate on them. The store, we use the concept of database inside it. So it's a feature that they provide database. Okay, it's a feature. And then we also can use SQL to communicate with that data, ask us that what exactly we need. Okay, let me give you an example with the second one. So we are clear with this structure, right? Any form of tabular data available in the market, available in the world, we can use it to communicate, to store in RDMS, and we can use SQL to operate on that one. Okay, when I say operation means query. So SQL basically is a programming language. Programming language. But what is programming language? Some people get confused on this one. Okay, so suppose I am a person. Okay, I live in US, and there's another person who live in UK. Okay, so when they talk with one another, they use certain level of things to communicate with one another, and that thing is language called English, which provide you words to give you what you want to say. They provide a grammar that structurize them to give a meaningful information. Okay, what point out the things, and grammar is to weave these things together to make a sense out of it, right? Similarly, when I'm in US and I want to talk with my computer, a machine, I need to have a medium that help us both communicate together. And that medium has certain words that we call in our computer language keywords, and the grammar that we call syntax. And this together we call it programming language. This is human language. This is programming language because we communicate with human to human. It's called human language. When a human communicate with a machine or machine to machine, it's called programming language. Okay. So SQL is a programming language that help us to communicate with machine or computer, right? But 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 why and what the specific use? It help us communicate with a computer on tabular form of data. Okay, so SQL is a programming language that help us communicate with the machine, operate on tabular form of data. How it was implemented using software called relational database management system. We can use this system to store tabular form of data and then use SQL to communicate with this one. Okay. Now, when you say, Nitin, when you say communication, what does that mean? Okay. So suppose, let me give you a very good example. You are again a teacher. You are a teacher, and you have like 100 students again, and now you decided to store that into a relational database management system, and you store the information about a 100 student, right? And there is another teacher, we call it dummy. He wrote the name into your Excel. Now I come as your headmaster or your principal. I came to both classes, class A and class B, and I asked both of them, can you give me the count of a student whose name start with A or E? Now this guy goes here, he started manually searching for this one or apply some formula. So suppose he take around 5 minutes. He simply goes here into RDMS and there is UI. So this is the front end where he comes and started communicating. He simply write a simple query that, hey database, I want to access student table and give me get the count of a student whose name start with A or E, and it gives the answer within a minute. 5 minutes and 1 minute, and there was only 100 student, and still it took it 5 minutes. Suppose it's increased by 10 times, that's 1,000 students. It is still take 1 minute because the query is the same, right? But here he have to manually scan it. Suppose I increase the bar again. Now I have the student across all these schools. Now it's 10K. Dude, God bless him. He need the God blessing. God bless him. He need God blessing to survive. And he still need only a minute because the query remains same. Structure remains same. He just have to run that query. So when I was saying communication, communication is nothing but to get a particular information from the tabular data in a database using query. This is called communication. What happened? You just ask the table that I need this information using a query. And this query is defined as SQL language. It provide you words. I told you again words. That's called keywords. And then grammar. That's called syntax. And using two, you can start making your own query. That's why this is language also called command language, because you write one command or instruction or query or communication that you fire against a table and it give you an answer to that. So it's like more of less communication one to one. I ask a question, it give me an answer. I ask a question, it give me an answer. I ask a question, it give me an answer. And how I'm asking? Using SQL programming language. And this asking of question is called query. So query is a concept and how it is implemented using SQL programming language. Okay, so we will learn more about the query, the keywords, the syntax or grammar, and that's how you will understand the core concept of using SQL to process or to get the meaningful insight from a tabular data. Okay, so if I have to summarize everything, everything together, so there are different form of data available in the world. First thing. Second, tabular form of data that is called structured data because it's very structured. It have a pattern, okay, where similar entities with the same characteristic are stored into tabular form of data, row and column. Okay. Third, get insight out of this one effectively. We use the concept of database where we store multiple tables in a single database, and we use query type programming language to access and get the information called SQL programming language to effectively store and process the data. And that's why the concept of SQL came. Now, if tomorrow somebody asks, as a fresher, somebody comes and asks you, what is SQL, what is database, what is table, I think you will be able to answer easily if you are watching it properly. But don't worry, I will create a short video, proper 5-10 minutes video, where I will deliver what I learned with you guys in this live sessions. Okay. So that's the second. Okay, let's quickly back. Did we miss on the recap something? So about the history, we are done. What is SQL done? How is it important done? So basically with this I can say recap is done. Okay. Now we can go with the roadmap. So before we go into the roadmap, uh, make sure you subscribe our channel on YouTube, because we provide very useful information that I think if you also feel the same way, make sure you just follow the channel. Okay. And in case you want to join me on my LinkedIn account, there's a LinkedIn link is available here. Gumroad, where we put our resources. If you want to access, few things are available free, some are available for bit money to keep us running, but you can say it, it doesn't matter. The important one are the LinkedIn, then GitHub and Instagram as well. I think guys join it. Like it doesn't cost you, but it increase our engagement. Right now is 000. So let's see who comes first. Okay, so here I have created multiple. This gonna start in couple of months, so don't worry about them. For SQL, you come to this SQL programming language. I created this three. Don't go here because right now I'm working on them. They still need some time. Go to the fourth one. That's gonna like go alongside as we start doing more of your live sessions. Okay, so 40 minutes, not 40, 30 minutes for recap. It's pretty good. Anyways, I also refresh everything. Okay, so if you want to start, this is the A1001. You can simply go here and check. So everything is written what we explained so far. It's just a brief. If you are preparing for interviews or something, you can simply come and check what is SQL. Everything is written. But I will make sure that I will create 5 minutes of video or like 10 minutes of video and give very crux information about the thing. So you don't have to come here. But if you are free, just come here. Okay. Again, the link is available. I'm going to put one link for donation. Let's see if somebody is rich enough to buy me a coffee. Okay, so now let's quickly start with day two. So yesterday I show you this GitHub repository and this particular page where we gonna master SQL journey. So this SQL journey, I make sure that if you're able to complete this in next 2 months, we will be at least covered 95% of everything available in the market. Okay, this is something I use AI plus my own experience, and I ensure that those topics that I use in my IT time, I make sure that's there because they are really important because they are being used 8 out of 10 times. Trust me, it is being used. And I'm not saying with one experience, because even within a company, I used to work on multiple projects. And that's where I realized there are few things that are really common and very useful in day-to-day life as a SQL developer. I had to make sure that these are available, but these are part of the learning. Okay. So this one is I divided into like how many weeks? 8 or Yeah, 8 weeks. Perfect. So everything is divided into 8 weeks. Okay, so like 7 days a week, 56 days. It's almost 60 days, right? For 2 months. So everything gonna span into 2 months. So when I say 2 months, it's not like we gonna keep on live for 8 hours a day. No, no, it's gonna be hardly 1 hour or like 1.5 hour because these are very simple, and that's why I make sure that I segregate the data in much sub level so that it become easy for us to understand and play around with it every single day. Okay, so if you're able to follow for the next 60 days, you will learn the things very fast and effectively. Even I will learn very fast and effective as well because this live is not about you guys, it's about us. Despite the fact there is none joined. Let's find the second, and it's all about learning, dude. Trust me, it's all about learning. Yeah. And for the last live session, trust me, I love it. I learn a lot. Like I learn about SQL history. I learn about SQL, the full name, and then I learn about the meaning behind that SQL, and then why it was important, how it came into existence, what kind of a data it can play with it. So I was not aware of many things. I was aware in technical level, but if I have to explain some to someone, no, I won't be able to explain as effectively as I can now. Okay. So now I'll quickly go into week one. That's gonna start from first, but I think it will start from tomorrow, 28th. I think a day ahead. Okay, so that's fine. So don't worry, we already discussed this one, dude. We already discussed this one. Right. What is SQL? What is database? What is relational database management system? Okay. Yeah, we did it. But yeah, we're gonna do it again tomorrow because I want to keep that introduction is like whole about what is SQL, why it's important, everything. Now we will delve more into the technicals, like what is exactly SQL does, what is database, despite the fact that you are already aware of this one. But we will go with the roadmap. We won't skip this one. So tomorrow we're gonna start with what is SQL, relational database, and RDBMS. Okay. Then second day is installing MySQL or Postgres. I think we will go with the PostgreSQL. Reason behind it, MySQL nowadays not many of the top companies use this. Postgres is being used because it's much more easy integrate with different platform like AWS, Azure, basically cloud-based your services. They are providing the Postgres. Postgres is open source and it's much more convenient to use Postgres. It give you much more of uh operations. It's almost same, but right, like dude, actually I worked on both. Three. I worked on MySQL as well initially when I was learning in my college days, but I never use it in IT firms. That's why I don't recommend you to learn this one. Instead, directly go with the one version that everyone use. That's gonna keep you all aside. Yeah, so I think this I can give you as a tip. So let me quickly get you here. So if you're fresher is I think tip of the day you can say. So if you're fresher, okay, trust me, MySQL I hardly see in IT professional using that. Better you go with Postgres, SQL, or MS SQL. That is nothing but your Microsoft SQL database. So it's MS SQL. Okay, so either of them. This totally depend on you nowadays because there is one thing that you need to understand. I'm not going to elaborate much into it, but Postgres, then if you want to get into cloud-based technology, then you can go with AWS. But if you feel like okay, I will go with Microsoft things because it's much more reliable, and lot of big companies use Microsoft as a whole suite for end-to-end processing like Power BI, they use Azure platform, everything. Then you can go with Azure. Think it has bigger market, but it have more specific market. So if you are able to get into, trust me, there will be hardly few people that will be able to replace it. If you are able to learn everything from MS SQL to your Fiber to your Azure as a whole package. Because if somebody is using, in my opinion, if somebody is using this set, they're gonna use other set of the microset as well. And I do see people using this one as an enterprise at the enterprise level. So compared to AWS, I think there is much less of competition. It's a competition, obviously. People gonna go there because it have a huge opportunity. But compared to AWS, that everyone is trying to learn nowadays, I think if you want to be more specific and enterprise oriented level where you want to work with the big firms, I think this make more sense because I felt somewhere the new startup everything they want to go into AWS thing. I don't know why, what the reason, because I never had that opportunity to work with a startup or something. I work for mid cap or the large caps. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. I might be wrong on this one. Just let me know in the comment section. Just guide the freshers, guys. This is all about communication. If you feel like there's some problem or my vision is limited based on my limited experience, you can simply go to comment section, write it down for fresher, and fresher, please make sure you learn from these guys. And if you're experienced, make sure that you put your LinkedIn in that comment section, so the fresher can simply go to your LinkedIn and connect with you guys as well. Okay, so make sure, freshers, I'm not the only source of truth. I am one of the many source of truth. Okay, remember that. So try to communicate with as many as people, but don't oversaturate the things. Only go for 5 or 6 people, or like even 10 people. Make sure you learn from that one and the thing that best suit you. Okay, there's nothing like best or perfect. There's always like which works for you. Just go and get that one. Okay, let's get back to the roadmap. So day two, we're gonna learn about PostgreSQL, or we will simply download it and we're gonna use their doc as a guidance or learning afterward. On the day three, we're gonna learn create, drop, alter table. So how to create your first database table. Oh, so you know about the database now, right? Database is a collection of tables. Oh, done. Data type. So yeah, as we learn about the table, we already know the table, right? Table is just a collection of similar entities with the same characteristics. Okay, since characteristic we gonna store into computer, that means it has to be form of some information or data. It can be text, it can be some numbers, right? So to make computer understand what kind of data we're gonna store into this particular characteristic, we need to define data type. So it just computer know that if somebody trying to put name into age, you have to flag it, right? Do pass for age. You have to give me numbers. Okay, that's how it is. Now select basics, nothing much. So then we will see how we will retrieve the data. Okay, so I told about two basic functionality is to store and then retrieve the data. And on over it become brownie points. Okay, the concept is like who can provide the more brownie point, like more operation with simplicity, become famous. And that's why this Excel failed it, because it's not able to it was able to provide storage and it was able to provide the retrieval of the data. But when it's talked about the complex queries to get more data, more insightful data, it started either lagging or it become really complex or unable to do it. And that's why database it come into picture. Then week two is all about the queries that I talk about. The second concept of SQL, view for query, concept level, how we gonna query and get this meaningful insight. Okay. So where we're gonna learn about where clause, order by, distinct, count, sum, average. This is called aggregation function. If you remember in the day when we were talking about. Then group by, okay. Then like between in operator, and week two we will just have some challenge and recap. Week one also have some. Okay, that means I oh yeah, I need to prepare this one for you guys. Okay, as learning, I think I will do on third. Oh, let's see how it goes. So when we will be able to complete the day one, our at least basic will be clear. Basic, like someone who start just started. When day two will end, at least we will become a beginner. Just above the basic is become beginner, right? Beginner basic is like when you know about the things of a software. Beginner is like when you know the features and able to use that at a basic level. Okay, beginner. Week three is all about the joins. How we, so I told you in our database, there is a collection of multiple tables. So there's a time when we need to collect the data from different tables and combine them. Okay. This operation is called joining, and SQL also provide that operation using keyword called join. And this one. Okay, we will learn about this one. And now by the end of the day three, we will be a good beginner. Okay, one is beginner, one is good beginner. So at least we will be good beginner. Okay, so that means by now you will be able to at least tackle 20 to 30% of the things thrown at you. Week 4 is about upgrading yourself from beginner to intermediate level, because at this level you will be able to give interviews once you complete this one week 4. Okay, so it's about subquery, coherent subqueries, case statements, string function. Dude, this is very important. Subquery is very important. Correlated subqueries. If you don't want to make your queries too complicated, we will talk about that one. Because I did that, was why. It was needed, dude. It was a really complex thing at that time. Like a string function, yeah, you need this time. Sometime the data that comes. Do you think like data comes to well clean manner like tabular form? Sometimes it comes. Does have the pattern, but it's come into text. Then you need to read every line. Then you need to segregate the data. Then you need to store into tabular form of data into your database. So you need to do these things as well. So it does happen at times. So date and time function very important. Very important. Trust me, guys. This is really important. You might not understand as a fresher, but if you ask IT guys, timestamp is really important, especially in financial data or in a retail data. Is really important. In pharma is important, but that's not critical because that's towards molecule side and the clinical side. If you are towards the manufacturer side of the client is into manufacturer side. But if it's into banking, finances, or retail, date and time function, trust me. Sometime even you have to take till milliseconds, microseconds. It's that much of like depth is needed into data type. So this is very important. String is important, but string is something you can simply Google it and find. But data and time style, it can like create havoc into your data values or key matrices if you are not very keen with this one. Then union accept. So you won't use it a lot of time, but there's a time you might use it union. I used it union all and union, but it's very case specific. You should know it. Trust me, guys. You should know it because it's not something that you're gonna use. Because see, this two statement you're gonna use it in day-to-day life. Case statement at the time of development, subqueries definitely at the time of development. And subqueries is something you're gonna use in day-to-day life as well when you need to fetch the data in much more meaningful manner or make it very much more understandable. Okay. This is something you won't be using in day-to-day life, but there is a time that you might use it, so it's good that you know why and how it is used. If you are well aware of the why and how for a topic, trust me, you are short with the interviews. This one, so till here you become intermediate level, you are eligible to attend interviews. You pass or fail is totally depend on your luck and the interviewer. Trust me. But if you're able to pass this one week 5, 80% shot you will be able to crack your interviews because it does talk about window function, very critical, very important. Rank dense, like 100% important. Lag lead function, not that important, but for few of the tricky case or sometime when people want to judge your thinking, whether you will be able to understand. Because I think in SQL, the lag and lead leads to very good questions or the scenarios that the interview want to check. So in interview, trust me, guys, they want to check. See, you can Google everything. Okay. We don't want to check that whether you know the nomenclature or everything. You know it's good to have. I want to know about your thought process, because there is a time when the client asks you at the 11th hour that I need these things to be fixed. And suddenly, or if there's a case that you want to productionize something and you realize there's something mistake. Are you able to handle the pressure? Are you able to hold your ground? Are you able to stay calm? Listen to the interviewer, understand the scenario, think about the solution, and provide the solution. Because in an organization, you are not alone. There are many people. If you are alone, you can ask for the help. You get the idea. Okay, this is the idea, but based on my current ability, I might take time. Why don't we bring someone who can quickly fix this one? And you just have to bring a technical expertise from other project for 1 hour, 2 hour a day, and he will write everything. You just have to provide the roadmap that this is the budget we should use. This is the way we need to use. So they check this one. They check whether you are able to handle the pressure. You stay calm. You are able to analyze the solution, the problem, and then provide the solution. If you're able to do this fourth thing, trust me, 90% your bar has raised to 90%, and you will be able to crack that interview. Okay. And even if you forget that the functionality, like I can do partition by or something, how it is used, that's fine. Google is there. Nobody stop you from doing that. Now AI assistants, in my opinion, there will be a day when you work in IT, there will be a small logo here. It's will be your AI assistant where you can simply ask, dude, I want to have this workflow. Can you just recommend me what keyword or operation I should use? They will give you the code, just copy and paste. So AI is your assistant, but to think about that roadmap, you have to do it by yourself, okay? Because you can't simply go to your client and okay, let me chat GPT this, let me cloud AI this one. No, you need to talk to them. You need to give them assurance that even if I'm using this thing at my back, but as a person, I can answer your question, and that confidence can come when there is a human. At least now, not sure about the future, but so far for a business, you need a human interaction. Because if everything is replaced by a computer, who gonna provide service? Who gonna consume the service? Until unless there is a day when we can survive without food. But there is a day like this when you don't have to survive. You can survive without food, because then a lot of things dynamics will change completely. I'll leave it as hypothetical. I don't want to talk into it. Then partition by in deep time, dude. This is really good. I use partition thoroughly. It is one of the best and worst concept. I will tell you why. Because it can either increase the computation power or the computation charges, or it can drastically increase your efficiency. It can have either of the cases. So partition is something you have to be very careful with your data set. When common table expression, dude, this is beautiful. I love this. Dude, you can break your step into multiple memory table based on city. It's really good. Recursive city, mm, I haven't used it, dude. And I'm not much, well, I will be truthful, dude. I might use it, but I'm not aware what is like recursive city. Is it like using it again and again based on a parameter, and once the parameter is filled, and then like self join again and again and again and again. If that's the case, yeah, I can try. I need to see, buddy. I can't answer you on this one. So it can be the case I never use it, or I use it and I'm not sure what that is called, like recursive city. But I use city very extensively. It's really beautiful. I love this one. And I think city somewhere can help you in a lot of places, dude. So by now, you have 80 to 90% of chances getting selected into your interview. Week 6 and 7 is more on technical level, and this is really important too. They ask these questions like why indexing needed. So now you are jumping from intermediate towards the expert level. Expert. You become expert. Index is really important. Very important. Same as partition, if not done properly, it will it will create havoc. Dude, I have seen the cases, so I know. Explain, dude. Like, if you're not writing very complex, you don't need this one. And when you spend like 3 to 5 years in SQL, I don't think like this gonna help you much. But as a fresher or your first or second year, I think Explain can help you to understand the backflows. But yeah, I never use it to be truthful now. I should be using it, but nah, because I work with really good people. They always give me pointers. But for you guys, I will use it. I think I should use it. Query optimization technique. This is evergreen, dude. You have to always learn it, and it depends case to case. Some people say, like for example, you should not put this data type for this particular characteristic of entity. But then on the second hand, you realize that that's the only way of doing it. So optimization is the same thing. You should know all the ways, but which way is gonna implement is totally depend on your project or the current data you're working in. Okay, so it's good to know all type of optimization, be it uh, numerical operationalizations or indexing or anything like. You should know about this one. This one is important if you're getting into a role of server developer or like this SQL developer or something, or even data engineer. You should understand normalization of 1NF, 2NF, and 3NF. You should understand. Okay, ultimately, you break the things based on the business requirement, and how much it follows totally depends on this one. But you should know about this one because this give you understanding how in IT they fragment the data, how they decompress the data, denormalization, normalization, data stuff. So this is really important. You won't name it, or you won't use a technical name when you talk with your colleague when you're working, but the way you're gonna divide or like you're gonna combine your tables or the data for business requirement, you're gonna use this concept. So you should know it. So normalization, then denormalization came into. I told you these are really important. This set you different from the intermediate to expert level, and again performance challenge like. So by this one, you are at least a good intermediate. I won't say expert because until unless you create on project, you create things by yourself, you learn the things by failing, by successfully delivering the thing. I can't say that you are really good expert. So now you are good intermediate person, and there is 90% of chance you will be able to crack that interview. 10% is always on the interviewer's mood to trust me. If interviewer mood is good, he will ask you question, what's your name, where you stay. And if his interviewer like mood is not good, he gonna ask what is the 1,000 place digit of a pi value. He gonna ask how what's the location of the sun right now. Dude, dude, it happens. It happens. You trust me. It happens. It happens. I have seen it. Did my experience? Yes. Because the moment I walked in, I realized they were not interested in hiring me, or maybe they hired someone already and they schedule my interview. So this become more of like uh, formal greeting. And this is where the real thing will start. We will start doing more of fan question to make you ready for the interview. So for 90 to 95, this is gonna help you. Okay. And so that we can reduce that 5%. But yeah. And this is all about making sure that 95% become 98. I always keep that 10 to 2%. We are reducing that 10% of employees move to 2% by giving a good answer, and using different, by making sure that we practice different questions. Okay. Week 8 is all about practicing, practicing. And trust me, week 8 is not a final one. After this one, I will start something else. But meanwhile, or after a couple of weeks, I will start doing projects on this one, and that's gonna be live as well. You can come and join the live, because if you are not implementing what you learn, what's the point of learning? Dude, it's original, okay? Don't copy paste it. What did I say? Did I forget? Oh, I need to rewatch this one. If you are not implementing what you learn, what's the point of learning? Write down, dude. Write it down. If you are not implementing what you learn, what's the point of learning? So after this one is all about the project, and then we will be completing our days. Okay, so we got the whole roadmap ready. Before I end, you have to do only three simple things. First one is to go here and join all the social media, especially LinkedIn and GitHub and Instagram. That's the first thing. Second, make sure you watch this live, and if not, if you feel like it's really big and you don't want to be watch this one, I will make sure the corresponding video for this live with a compressed and highly provided value will be available in the channel. You go and watch this one, so subscribe and watch. And if you want to share, just share it, dude. Why you are even thinking or waiting for me to ask? So, is there anything else? Nothing. Okay, so for tomorrow, the week one, we're gonna start, and week one is all about the absolute basics. So, we will start with what is SQL, what is database, and what is relational database management system. Okay, we will do some searching, we will do some analysis, and then we will curate this into our uh, file. And if you don't know, we are maintaining a file. Everything will be available in the GitHub. Don't worry about this one. I will rename it to 002 as a SQL roadmap, or I will repaste this one. Doesn't matter. And this one. So we are curating everything here. So everything will be available here. Okay. Done and dusted. But everything I'm creating to one, this one, and second one is GitHub. You just have to take the reference from the GitHub. Don't worry about this one. Anything else? Where is what is SQL? I think I will change it to introduction to SQL. Yeah, I will do it after the live is over. Okay, guys, this is enough. We are already reaching 1 hour of timeline. Where half an hour we just recap the video one or live one, and on two we talk about how we gonna learn SQL from nothing to the expert level. A good expert, not exactly expert, but good intermediate level. Expert is something you're gonna become over the time, not right now. Because for that one, you need to understand the infrastructure, you need to understand the data. The more you work, the more you understand, the better expert you become. But with this, in next 60 days, we will become a good intermediate or intermediate SQL developer. With this, I will wrap today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Somebody joined. There's two people. Who is the second one, dude? Is anyone here? Or is it me? Buddy, can you write something if you are watching this on the chat? Or is it me only, or like it's delayed here? Maybe just me. Buddy, you there? Like, let me quickly check if somebody joined. If it does, like, it's a big thing for some like me right now. No, it's only one. Let me refresh it. Yeah, I'm the only one watching, so this is not refresh. Somebody might join in between and then gone. Anyways, it's loving talking you guys. Bye. It is how to stop it.